but I can get you more detail if you need it. Rachel?
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everybody. I will ask my question in French, if you don't mind. I've got two. La première, c'est sur le combiné nordique pour Pierre. Est-ce que le combiné nordique joue, je ne veux pas dire sa survie, mais sa prolongation au jeu sur le fait qu'il intègre les femmes? Et une question pour le comité d'organisation et aussi pour le CIO. Est-ce que vous pouvez réagir à toutes les manifestations qui ne semblent pas s'arrêter contre les Jeux, aussi bien à Milan que dans d'autres villes du nord de l'Italie? Merci beaucoup.
Merci. I'll respond in English, so it might be easier. So yes, as we've already communicated, we are looking very extensively into Nordic combined. We understand the challenges that the current situation is creating for the athletes, and our commitment has been to entirely review the situation for both men and women after these games. It's something we communicated in our executive board in September in Milano, where we will use the data coming from these games to try and really understand what is the level of popularity, what is the level of universality of the sport, both on men and women, to make sure that we can then have all necessary information in hand to look into the sport and make a decision for 2030.
Luca, if you want to answer about protests.
Intanto buongiorno a tutti, vi do il benvenuto da parte dell'area comunicazione del comitato organizzatore. Mi sembrava doveroso e utile salutarvi. Per quanto riguarda le proteste a cui hai fatto riferimento, noi riteniamo che esattamente come i valori del CIO, lo sport sia un ambito anche di dialogo, di confronto. Il tutto però deve sempre comunque avvenire all'interno di un perimetro di rispetto, di confronto positivo. Tutto ciò che eccede questo periodo e finisce nella violenza o in manifestazioni che non rientrano nel comune dialogo non appartengono a questo mondo. Un ringraziamento va alle forze dell'ordine con cui c'è un dialogo continuo e perenne e a cui fa capo ovviamente la gestione di tutto il comparto di sicurezza.
Yeah, and I don't have anything to add. I think we join ourselves with that comment too. Yeah, down here. Yeah.
Takafumi Yoshida from Japanese News Agency Kyodo News. I have a question to Pierre about gender equality. Do you expect 2030 French Alps will be the first Winter Olympic edition will be with full, totally gender parity? How do you?
Thank you for the question. What we expect is to continue to work in that direction. As you understand, the quota of athletes in the context of the Games is a delicate matter. So if you have to better balance men and women, you also need to find the way to allow the decisions to be fair. So we are working already to try and understand the path that could exist to 50-50. But we are doing that very carefully in collaboration with the international federations to make sure that it's not just something we do artificially. We want to make sure it's a meaningful evolution of the program so that we can definitely aim at that 50-50. But we're working now with the international federation and the organizing committee of 2030 to be ready when comes the time in June.
Okay, let's go over here. Yeah, let's have our FRZ and then we'll gentleman there. Yeah.
Christoph Becker, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. I've got two questions with regard to the participation of Israeli athletes. One is a more general one, referring back to the opening ceremony. Were there any particular security measures in place as to, let's say, catch some form of protest from spectators with, I don't know, banners or something at the gates of the stadium? So was there any particular security for this? And then secondly, I just heard that there was a theft in the lodgings of Israeli bobsledder AJ Edelman. Do you have any information on that? A, where does he stay in Cortina? Does he stay in the Olympic Village there, or does he stay somewhere else? And B, are there any details known yet if this was let's say petty crime, or if there is anything more to it? Thanks.
So on your more general question, I mean, obviously our job is to create an atmosphere of celebration where people feel safe. That's not our job, actually. That feeling safe is the job of the authorities. I won't comment, and you wouldn't expect me to comment on security issues. But obviously, we hope that opening ceremony can be presented in the way that people can enjoy it and celebrate it. And the athletes are here, obviously, to compete, and they need our support. On the more general issue, I understand, but I'll just pass to Luca, I think, but I understand that this was in a pre-games lodging, and therefore was not within our zone. But obviously, the most important thing is to say that we send our kind of support to them. We understand these terrible things do happen, and we will do all we can. If they need any help, we'll obviously do that. But Luca, I don't know if you have any more details on that one.
Sì, nulla da aggiungere rispetto a quello che ha detto Mark. È un fatto, da quello che ci risulta, accaduto prima dei giochi, quindi non di nostra competenza.
Yes, gentleman here. Yeah, and then we'll go to Graham, and I think
Thank
we've
you.
got a question online.
Good morning. I'm Oscar Garcia with The Athletic. There were a couple political displays at the figure skating venue last night. 2 American fans, one held up a banner that said, "We apologize to the world for our bad behavior. We will fix ourselves." And there was another woman with a Trump display on a belt on her back. Are those kinds of displays allowed, and how are you approaching these kinds of displays generally during these games?
I mean, the technical answer is obviously there are terms and conditions on the tickets. We want people, it's a similar answer in one respect to the Israeli question. We want people to enjoy their spectator experience free from any other issues. It's a sporting event, and we want people to enjoy that. And what I would say is that minor infringements, if that's what they are dealt with in venue as is seen fit, as is necessary.
So it's up to the venues?
It will be dealt with. If it's a minor infringement like that, it will be dealt with in the venue if it needs to be. Yeah. But thank you for raising all these infringements.
But are they infringements? I just want to be clear.
I don't know about the specific one. I mean, but if there's an issue, it would be dealt with. And clearly, if they dealt with it, if it was an issue, they dealt with it. If it wasn't dealt with, it wasn't an issue. I don't think there was any, apart from you, I don't think that there was any complaints about it. But I will look into it for you if you want. It was someone with a slogan on their bottom or something, I think it was. Yeah, and a poster, but we'll look into it. But as I say, minor infringements are dealt with in the venue themselves. Yes, Wakako.
Thank you. Wakako Yuki from Yomiuri Shimbun. Two questions to Pierre. First one is actually follow-up to Rachel's, Nordic combined. And what is the major obstacle for a women's event not it being introduced? And how, during this Olympic Games, how would you like to observe, what sort of criteria are you focusing on to watch for the decision of the future of this event or discipline? Also, regarding the general, actually, sports operation, of course, first couple of days, usually you would find something and try to make adjustment. And this is not strictly under your control, but we hear, for instance, transportation delays, initially there were minor blackout occurring. What are the things that you try to make changes and these are not happening again? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. When it comes to Nordic combined, I think we look at it in a way that these games will provide us a lot of information. When we assess a sport, not necessarily Nordic combined, any sport, what do we look for? We look for universality. We look for a spread of excellence at the top. We look for, is this sport being watched in the games, outside the games? There's a lot of elements that are being used, which, again, are not specific to Nordic combined. We apply the exact same criteria to all sports. It just turns out that this particular discipline has had challenges in the past. I think it's been communicated both on the men and the women's side. So we just want to make sure that we take a very good look in details as how much the sport has moved forward since we made the decision for 2026. When we decided on the women for 2026, as you know, in 21, there had only been one world championship with a lower number of athletes. Now the sport has evolved further, so we want to make sure we take all the criteria I just mentioned and inform those that have to make the decision. For the second part of the question, I'll just mention, and I'll turn over to Anna, that in the context of the games, what we always want to do is make sure we learn from the issues we have so that we don't have any issues happening twice. But I'm sure she can explain more about the work and the situations you mentioned.
Grazie Pier. In effetti è proprio così. I primi problemi che abbiamo avuto soprattutto sui trasporti sono stati una questione di rodaggio di tutta quella che è la macchina complessa dell'organizzazione dello sport e dei giochi diffusi. E di conseguenza abbiamo avuto qualche inconveniente che si è riflesso soprattutto in qualche venue di montagna e su Milano. Ora il sistema è andato a sistema, perdonate il gioco di parole, e pensiamo di non aver più, speriamo e auspichiamo di non avere più problemi di questo genere. Per quanto riguarda il blackout, siamo andati subito al riparo per quella che è possibili situazioni difficili con l'energia e siamo andati a un resetting venue per venue di quella che è la situazione energetica per evitare che quello che è successo nella prima gara di curling a Cortina si possa ripresentare in altre gare e stiamo continuando a monitorare e a procedere con la revisione di tutto il comparto nelle notti prima delle competizioni.
Okay, we have a question from the mountains online.
Thanks. Yeah, this is from Sarah Levitt at Canadian Broadcasting Services, and she wants a general overview of the technology and then more specifically on the drones and the ones that are filming the athletes in the first person. On the one hand, she asks, they create beautiful panoramic views, and yet some of the athletes have also complained about noise issues. So what's your response to that point as well?
Yeah, I'm sure Anna will add, but I think we look at this as an evolution of the sport. I think the expectation of anyone today is to have this kind of experience when you consume a sporting event, even more so the Olympic Games, because as I mentioned at the start, we always strive to offer the best viewing experience, whether you're in the stadium or outside. So this is the expectation today. We believe, in collaboration with the International Federation, that the drone do not impact significantly the experience of the athletes. We've looked into it to make sure that it doesn't. Maybe some people are more sensitive than others, obviously, but we're trying to make sure that the way we improve the broadcast of the games is certainly not an obstacle to the performance of the athletes, but that's an ongoing conversation every time with the athletes community, with the International Federation. But Anna, maybe you want to add something?
Ma no Pier, penso che tu abbia detto tutto. Sicuramente abbiamo testato i droni prima dell'utilizzo in tutte le occasioni che abbiamo avuto, nelle diverse test event che abbiamo fatto, e abbiamo valutato, anche sentendo appunto la comunità degli atleti, che l'impatto non fosse sulla loro performance e non desse fastidio in alcun modo a quello che avvengono. Poi, come dice giustamente Pier, le situazioni sono differenti da atleta a atleta e anche dalla sensibilità di affrontare la gara olimpica con una novità, ma al momento non abbiamo avuto nessuna lamentela che ci possa far considerare il non utilizzo dei droni per le riprese.
Thanks, Anna. And I should say Yanis, our head of OBS director, will be here to talk about all of those things, new technologies and so on that we're using in innovations. I'm not sure which day, but we will let you know. Okay, let's go to Graham from AP.
Thank you very much, Mark. Just picking up on the protests. On the day of the vote 7 years ago, one of the main reasons given by the IOC for why Milan won over Stockholm was that public support was better, that people didn't want it enough in Sweden, and in Milan they did. And so obviously the optics of protests and tear gassing on the first Saturdays, not ideal. Has that surprised you to see these protests? Do you think it's a sign of some kind of deeper discontent, or just a regular feature of the games and something that's just going to happen on Saturdays this month?
I'm not an expert on the Italian political scene, so I won't attempt to give you an answer to that. I mean, I think from our point of view, peaceful protest is entirely legitimate in many countries of the world, and we draw a line, as we said earlier on, at violence. Well, that has no place at the Olympic Games. But I think it's very much something that's apart from I honestly don't know how many protesters there were and so on, but I think we just need to get on with the Games, which will, spread a strong message of unity and peace to the world, which I think is very important at this moment in time. Much more to say than that, Graham, I think. Okay, yeah, gentleman at the back. I think we're coming to an end slowly.
Sorry, I apologize if this question has already been asked before. The Russian figure skating coach, Tutberidze, is here with them, and she is accredited by the Georgian team. Witold Banka, some days ago, said that he feels not comfortable seeing her here because of this scandal 4 years ago. What does the IOC think about this? Do you feel comfortable that she's here or not? Or how are your comments on this?
Yeah, I mean, comfortable, not comfortable, it doesn't, for me, is not so important an issue whether I'm comfortable or not. But I think in that case, as far as I understand, and WADA have dealt with it to a certain extent, but I'm not going to speculate on details, but if there was an investigation at the time, there were no issues found that could be actioned. And since then, I think, as WADA have explained, they have strengthened their entourage investigations and so on around athletes. But you need if you're going to take action against someone, you need some evidence to take that action. And from what I understand, there isn't any. So not much more to add. Yeah, gentleman there.
Yannick Schneider from ZDF Germany. In addition to the prior question, it was heard and written that it was geopolitical reasons that the investigation couldn't take part in Russia so much with the coach Tutberidze. So I wonder if the IOC is interested in another investigation, maybe, so that independent investigators could enter to Russia. Thank you.
I think that's a question best directed to WADA, because they're the responsible organisation for that, any investigation. Okay, I think some people... Oh, no, okay, we're going to go around again. Some people don't want to watch the skiing, so we're going to... Tariq, clearly not a ski fan, and then we'll go off to the right here. Yes, Tariq.
We're going to keep you here so you miss the entire event, Mark. That's the plan. Can I ask about Kirsty Coventry's meeting with... sorry if it's been asked earlier, I don't know. With Vance and Rubio, and they've been here. Kirsty's not travelled as often as some other sports federations and embraced the Trump administration like some other ones. What is her? Is that your ski alarm? What's that? What's the kind of relationship like? What's she looking to get, out of it? And what's it been like here? What are the discussions about? Are there any topics that are front of mind? Can you give us a kind of bit more detail?
I mean, I did not at great length, but I did address this one yesterday. So, I mean, I wasn't in the meeting, but what I can tell you is that we are, as I said yesterday, we're very happy with the relationship we have with the administration. It's very supportive, particularly in the run-up to the Los Angeles Games. It's very important that you have a good relationship with the administration in whatever country that happens to be, and that is the case here. What the kind of detailed conversation was, I can't tell you. What I could tell you is that apart from that great relationship, obviously at the moment, the President will be concentrating 1,000% on making sure that these games are a success. So I really wouldn't want to kind of take that speculation any further. Yeah, gentleman there.
Je suis désolé, mais je voudrais revenir sur le problème des manifestations. J'ai un petit peu d'expérience d'événements sportifs. Marc, vous avez raison, généralement ça s'arrête le jour où l'événement commence, que ce soit Coupe du Monde ou Jeux Olympiques. Or là, ça continue, et j'ai quand même l'impression que c'est dû à la présence de ICE, je ne sais pas si c'est une police justement, je ne sais pas trop le cadre fédéral. Il y a eu des discussions du CIO avec l'État fédéral américain pour la présence ou non de ces policiers?
Only, I'll answer in French because in English because I think it would probably save your ears. But I mean, only a discussion. We didn't have a discussion, I think, with them about the specific issue because I think they clarified. They made it very clear that there were no ICE boots on the ground here in Milan, and it was purely an administrative role, I think, in Rome or something. So, far be it from me to say that the issue has been blown out of proportion. I wouldn't dare to assume to put those words into other people's mouths, but I think they clarified pretty quickly that that was not an issue here, that there were not ICE agents on the ground as the protesters were. I think some of the protesters were suggesting. Okay, with apologies for the telephone call halfway through, I will see you, thank you very much to the panel, and I will see you all not same time, 11 o'clock tomorrow, I think.